Clark fire away and hits a three.
Their left hand.
Clark just spins away from Hayes. Hayes fires and hits.
What a tough two.
Clark launches and hits.
It was more than simply a basketball game that took place inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse on Friday night. It was a reckoning, so allow me to set the scenario for you. Black small square Caitlin Clark entered the building with something more substantial than a strategy. She entered with a week's worth of fabricated lies, intentional misreporting, and the kind of disrespect that is only shown to those who are too large, too intelligent, and too obvious to be disregarded. She didn't feel anxious. She didn't feel shaken. She was enraged in the most dangerous and concentrated manner possible for a transcendent competitor. And the entire weight of it was going to fall on every single individual in that arena.
All doing it all on that defensive possession. Clark, oh, from another stratosphere.
Before we get into a single possession of this game, here is what you need know. Every athlete eventually hits a wall after reaching a certain degree of excellence. It's a psychological wall rather than a physical or competitive one. They become aware that the battle is taking place not just on the court, but also in the league offices, TV booths, press rooms, and comment sections. It is persistent and present wherever today. Black small square this week, Caitlin Clark struck that wall, looked right at it, and then walked right through it. When Clark took a seat at the news conference podium the day before tip-off, she did not back down. She did not turn around with a courteous grin. She destroyed the story by staring straight into their cameras.
I actually went back and looked because of all these narratives that are going crazy online about when I told my mom I wasn't going to play the game. 4:47, and you guys found out at 5:20. So one of the most important people in my life found out 40 minutes before you guys.
The injury chronology was adjusted by her. The precise, unequivocal, and irrefutable sequence of events that the media had been purposefully misrepresenting all week. She presented the facts with the composed accuracy of someone who has had enough of being misquoted and seeing lies go unchecked. Black small square, she made it very obvious that the timing was so severely constrained that the idea of a cover-up was not only incorrect, but also mathematically impossible. Damage control was not being done by that player. A superstar was on notice. At that platform, her anger was more obvious than it had been at any press conference this season. And we witnessed it. All of us who were watching witnessed it. That wasn't staged indignation for the cameras. That was genuine, barely restrained, justified rage from a lady who has witnessed the truth being twisted in real time for years while being expected to remain silent. That press conference was also seen by the media outlets that published those stories. By tip-off, all they wanted was for you to forget about it. We never forget. She then went out and pretended to be that way. Black small square Clark's performance the following night against the Golden State Valkyries was more than a victory. Black small square, the performance was not merely impressive. Every media source that published the fake report received a psychological statement in the language of elite basketball. Each analyst who reinforced the story, and everyone in this league who has ever attempted to find an excuse to make her smaller. The Indiana Fever prevailed 90-82.
They kind of did everything they could to stop Caitlin. And you got to give Nakase credit. Because she is the guard stopper. That's her thing. That's her thing. She's able to stop guards. And she did everything to try to stop Caitlin. It didn't work.
Additionally, just a portion of the story is shown by the box score. Today, we will delve deeper than the box score because the stats don't accurately reflect what we saw. The storyline of the game movie is entirely different. It narrates the tale of a street brawl that is passed off as a basketball game. This one's doors are being entirely torn off. Caitlin Clark is unstoppable, as seen by the physical assault she endured in the first half and the double technical that awakened something horrible inside. Black small square, all of those threads are being connected. By the time we're through, you'll see why this performance falls into a totally different category than anything she's ever produced. Black small square, Caitlin Clark wasn't the only one who performed well under duress. This was Caitlin Clark waging battle against a false narrative, a strategically violent defense plan, and a whole week of disrespect and winning on all fronts at once, partly because that's what sets her apart from all the other participants in this discussion. The majority of contestants are capable of managing a single combat at a time. Clark was engaged in 3 fights at once. Black small square, she turned the physicality on the court, the media, and her own barely restrained anger into fuel. That's not typical. You can't produce or coach that. Black small square, the authors of such lies will never be able to comprehend that level of competitive identity. Black small square, we are here to dissect that. We won't allow that to be obscured by the upcoming news cycle. You will therefore need to pay close attention to this one, so stay focused. Because she deserves every second of it for what she did inside that building on Friday night. And let me be very clear about what really transpired inside Cambridge Fieldhouse on Friday night, because we will not tolerate the mainstream media focusing on the most significant aspects of this story for the entire week. Black small square, the tension that had been building all night eventually erupted at the height of that first half. Clark lowered her head, launched a strong assault on the basket, and pursued a loose ball in Valkyrie forward Janelle Salon's grasp. Salon didn't simply object to the interaction. She made it personal by stepping right into Clark's face. The next thing that happened was that these two were staring at each other with the kind of intensity that makes benches uneasy. The benches began to slide closer to the ground. In order to prevent things from going totally awry, Veronica Burton had to physically stand in between them. When they had had enough, the officials gave Clark and Salon 2 technical fouls.
That chippy moment with Salon at halftime that led to the double text.
I was just trying. Oh, did I get a technical?
You did.
Oh, no way. That just makes sense for the rest of me, so I'm not surprised. Wow. Wow, I could have got ejected. I should have been a little safer in the second half. Okay, well, guess I have some fines coming my way.
And both teams entered the locker room with a halftime enthusiasm that was more akin to lighting a fuse than a break. The significance of that double technical for the second half of that basketball game is not being thoroughly examined by any member of the mainstream media. That work is being done by no one. We are here just for that reason, because this is what you should know about a generational competitor's psyche. Caitlin Clark doesn't start small arguments. She doesn't fling her body around in an attempt to get into cheap fights. Black small square, she is not that person. She absorbs all the game throws at her and turns it into fuel, like she has always done. The altercation with Black small square Salon was not an isolated incident. It took place near the close of the season's most draining, frustrating, and narratively twisted week. Black small square, a week in which members of the press row, who wouldn't know what competitive pain is, used her back injury into a weapon. Black small square, for days, the doubt, the media circus, the hacking, and the cheap shots had all been building inside of her. Black small square, the altercation with Salon wasn't a diversion. Black small square, it was the last component. Black small square, a competitor like Caitlin Clark cannot be worn down by you. You don't use poisonous headlines and tactical fouling to subdue her. You just give her an excuse. She had perhaps 17 of them piled on top of one another on Friday night. When she left the locker room during the third quarter, her mental state dramatically changed. She didn't pause, didn't search for a screen, and didn't challenge the defenders when she brought the ball up the floor. Black small square, she pulled up after walking straight to the logo, which was 33 feet away from the basket. In front of her is a home audience, a tie game, and 48 pieces. She approached the logo and knocked it down like a layup in an empty gym following a double technical, a week of media nonsense, and days of people openly wondering if she was even healthy enough to be out there. After then, this section should provide you with all the information you require about Caitlin Clark's true identity. She didn't jog back on defense in silence. Black small square, she turned to Tiffany Hayes, the seasoned guard for Valkyrie, entered her personal space, and spoke trash to her with the cool, collected assurance of someone who understands exactly where they stand in the competitive hierarchy. This wasn't careless. This wasn't insane. The audience inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse erupted in the kind of loudness that reminds us why we follow this sport in the first place, as Hayes delivered it right back. We saw an on-court exorcism at that same moment. Black small square, she took all of the poisonous energy from every cheap foul, dishonest headline, and minute of manufactured doubt, and transformed it into a logo 3 and cold-blooded trash talk aimed at an experienced all-star. In a blowout, that player doesn't get quietly pulled. That is not a player whose injury history is subtly altered by a beat reporter in the area who wants to garner attention. That's the celebrity who walks to half-court with a week's worth of accumulated trash, reminding everyone in the building and those watching from home who she is.
I thought she was great. She's an emotional player, and it's one of the things that makes her great. And I thought that she channeled it in a way that needed to be channeled for us to be successful, and she handled it well. And
we are only beginning to break down that particular sequence. The pull-up from another area code, followed by the bold jawing with Tiffany Hayes, is the most authentic representation of Caitlin Clark you will ever witness. Over the course of 32 hard-fought minutes, she concluded the evening with 22 points, 9 assists, and 4 made threes on 9 tries. Take your time reading that back. 9 assists, 4 threes. Controlled surgical supremacy for 32 minutes. Black small square against a tanking squad. This wasn't a highlight reel made of empty calories. Black small square, this was Caitlin Clark destroying a serious, well-coached defensive unit that had a particular strategy in place to stop her, leaving that strategy in shambles on the ground. This is what everyone should know about what happens when Clark performs at this level of ball-dominant efficiency. Black small square, the entire Fever environment undergoes a complete transformation, not just a small one. Black small square, this Indiana roster becomes something that opponents truly fear when she is pushing pace, diagnosing in real time, and hitting cutters in stride. And Aaliyah Boston was the one who best illustrated that this evening. We are not discussing Boston's performance in this game enough, therefore it merits its own discussion. 20 points, 16 rebounds, and 8 of 15 field goals. From the first tip to the last buzzer, she owned the entire painted area, and we have to be exact. The broadcast team wasn't going crazy by this noisy, hyped-up performance. This type of subtle dominance only manifests when a player receives the ball precisely when and where she needs it. The talent has always been in Boston. At this level, she is unlocked when Clark finds her in rhythm, in stride, and in the proper places. This club is not just competitive, but a championship-caliber threat when that connection is at its peak. Period. Black small square, however, the opposing coach gave us the receipts on a silver platter, so we don't have to start this case from fresh. Black small square Natalie Nakase is not an inexperienced bench player who happened to obtain a head coaching position. This woman has worked as an assistant with the Golden State Warriors, according to her credentials. In the same manner that some individuals study scripture, she studies movies. She coaches with accuracy and prepares with great care. And she stood at the podium and revealed the truth after witnessing her team lose 90-82.
18, so just seeing their quality shots, I thought they did a really good job, even just playing off of each other.
She openly admitted that Clark made changes to her plan that it was never intended to handle. Her squad was totally unprepared for Clark's discovery of the tiny holes in the coverage and the precision passes that threaded through windows that shouldn't have existed. And since you may construct a defensive strategy around a left side step back, that admission is crucial. You can examine the third logo and determine how much you are prepared to give up. However, a player who reads your coverage in real time, determines where it breaks, and punishes it with surgical precision before you can rotate is something you cannot plan against, and that no defensive coordinator in this league has yet figured out. That's not athleticism. Black small square, it's not simply shooting. The majority of players in this league will never be able to match that level of basketball intelligence. On national television, you either respect it or feel ashamed. The scoreboard made sure everyone knew that the entire coaching staff made the wrong decision on Friday night. There are currently 2 and 4 Indiana Fever cases. Clark is in perfect health. Boston just played her greatest game of the year. The momentum isn't anything to discuss. Moving in a single direction is an irrefutable fact that has been established. The entire league fears this version of Caitlin Clark, one who doesn't manage minutes or rotate carefully. The team boosting the Apex version is irate, confined, trash-talking, and bombarding the logo. The person who takes over a basketball game on national television after witnessing a week of blatant hits and small-time politics. Black small square because they're not ready. Every reviewer secretly hoped we wouldn't see them thus early in the season.
Stay locked with my channel, Simply Explained, for further WNBA updates.